Welcome to another episode of New to Me. I'm Stephen Michael Zek, and what we have here is the Sokani X-50 RGB kit. Let's just jump in and check it out. Now you're going to get a case, which we'll go through. You're going to get 2 panels, and you're going to get 2 light stands. Now, let's go ahead and pop open, put some of this aside, and let's pop open what we have here. Let's start with the stands here. Now, you are going to get a stand here. It is one of those no-frill stands. It is your typical aluminum stand, but there are some very interesting things about it. It is actually very well made, and I love the fact that it folds up in on itself rather than folding rather than folding from the bottom. It folds from the top here. Very, very nice. Now, one thing you do want to be careful is you want to make sure not to go too high or the lights may fall over. So you want to go, so this is relatively flat. Now let's talk about the base here. The base is much thicker, so this is going to actually support the panels, unlike some other products when they come with stands and the stands are too thin and they just fall over. This looks fantastic. Pretty darn good for a budget panel system. And height-wise, full disclosure, this is actually the second kit I ordered. There was a bit of a problem with one of the battery connectors on one of them. So I have actually taken a look at this before, but they sent me a brand new kit. It is fine. It is working perfectly. It was just kind of a fluke. So let's talk about the stand. The stand is about 6 feet, maybe 6 feet. I'm 6'1", so it kind of comes up to about here on me. And then the panel is even higher, so you are going to get some nice height on this. And you're going to get a pretty nice case. It is pretty standard. It is that kind of plasticky nylon. One thing I will say is the zippers are super strong, and that's always something to watch out for with a lot of budget light kits, is sometimes they cheap out on like the zippers and things like that. But the zippers seem really robust. Inside you're going to get a slot for not 1, not 2, but 3. Because they want you to buy another one. But I'll probably keep all the plugs and everything inside the center one. And again, inside you get like kind of this nylon-y material that you normally see. And then you get this nylon handle, which I'm not thrilled about. These have a tendency to, it feels pretty strong, but these have a tendency to pull. And then you get kind of this really nylon-y strap with a little rubber thing, and these sometimes put marks on your shoulders. I'm not the best thing in the world. And the other thing is you cannot replace this. I really wish they made this replaceable so I could replace it with a more comfortable strap. But other than that, this seems pretty good. The padding is pretty solid, so you're not going to damage your unit at all, any of your panels. Oh, and you do get a little zipper right here, so you put in your diffusion and gels and whatnot. Very cool. Nice little case. Decent stand. Now, let's pop open the first panel and let's see what we get here. So popping this thing open, as you can see, it is very well packed. You get your instructions, which I will never ever use. You get your power bank with a decently long, let's go ahead and and not so bad, not so long. This goes from the power pack to the unit. So there you go. And then let's take a look at the standard cord, like any tape recorder cord, if you remember what a tape recorder is. And fairly long, probably about 6 feet, probably about 6. Not so bad. So there you go. And then let's take a look at the panel itself. The panel itself is rock solid aluminum. It seems very well made. Let's talk about these barn doors. They seem pretty good. Lots and lots of protective padding here. Now these are kind of the clamp kind of barn doors. I don't know if I can show you on camera here. They kind of clamp around the edge. So they should last. I prefer ones that are kind of offset because those tend to last a little longer. But all in all, these feel rock solid. They're aluminum. You do get some holes here, I guess, for venting and also for clamping diffusion if you have some kind of clamp that requires to be punched all the way through. And they seem pretty good. Let's go ahead and satisfyingly peel off the protective coating, and you get a permanent milk diffusion, which is going to help with edge shadowing. That's when you have this light really close to something, you're not going to go, it's going to help prevent a lot of duplicate shadows, which is very, very cool. Very nice. Now keep in mind, this runs for about I think it was like $329, $339. I'll put it up there how much this runs for, but this is a sub $400 kit. And Sokani has really been knocking it out of the park with their lighting, with their budget lighting. But all in all, metal construction, you can actually take the barn doors off, but I will not do that. Now you do get, with the yoke, you do get these plastic knobs, and they are just regular plastic knobs. Now there are grooves, and so when you tighten this, it will lock into a position. It's not a smooth transition. However, there are so many grooves, and I don't know if I can get that on camera, but there are so many grooves in this thing that there should be no problem aiming this where you want it to go. I mean, it just gives you a lot of options because there are so many grooves in this thing, in the yoke here, in the Rosetta here. So all in all, pretty good. The locking knobs are functional, they work, they lock it into place really, really well. And I'm very impressed with the overall build. I like the metal corners here. Now the back is also made of aluminum. The only plastic is the control box and of course the battery right here. Now the battery does have a press button, and you'll see that when I put batteries in it. So it does take 2 Sony NPF batteries, and I recommend using the medium size, the 770s or 775s. Now when I had the other kit, I did test this, and on 2 Sony batteries, it did run for about 49 minutes, so about 50 minutes on medium-sized batteries, which is pretty good. On the side here, you are going to get your AC plug, and then on the other side here, you're going to get these knobs, which also press in, and your AC on, and then your battery on, which is nice. Now, the knobs are just okay, plastic again, but they do have like a light tactile click to them when you turn them, so that's fine. And then you get 4 function buttons on the back here, and they are clicky, but they, again, are fine. This is, remember, keep in mind, this is a budget panel. But all in all, the construction's very nice. And one thing I noticed when I tested the other one of these I had is I ran this for almost 50 minutes, and the whole thing was almost cool to the, was very cool to the touch. And that's because you see, you get all this ventilation, all this passive cooling, which is really, really nice. So there's no fan in this. Really nice, nicely done. Now let's go ahead and pop some batteries in, and let's take a look at the display. Okay, so here we are with the batteries in, and let's go ahead, and as you can see, really nice battery indicator here. Let's go ahead and turn this on. And this thing is super bright. And you do also get a battery indicator here. And I'm not sure why you get 2. And something I noticed when I tested this out is this one is not as accurate as this one. This would be reading nothing, like all the bars would be gone. And then this would have like 1 light. So if you are going to trust something, trust the actual battery indicator on the actual battery plate, not on the monitor. Now, one thing you will notice, and I'll try to turn it to the camera, is your viewing angles are just okay. They're not great. At times when you view this, you can sort of lose it. So that's that. Now on the screen here, you are going to get your color temperature, your brightness, your battery indicator, what channel, and channel and frequency. So basically this has 12 channels, and you can go, I think, up to, I believe it's F. So there's a wide range of channels and settings you can do with this. And one thing that this thing has that I was very impressed with, it does have plus green and minus green, but we'll get into that. And this is 6,000 Kelvin now. Let's take a look at how what really surprised me about this is we're at 6,000 Kelvin. We can go, let's go ahead and go grabbing the bottom knob, and let's take this thing all the way up to 10,000 Kelvin. That's right, this thing goes to 10,000 Kelvin all the way down to, that's one thing I noticed is this is very slow to get to your integer So it is going to take you quite some time. But this goes all the way to 2800 Kelvin. So 2800 Kelvin to 10,000 Kelvin is a huge range. So yes, it does take you forever to try to get to what you need, but that's because the range is so huge on this thing. So all in all, very, very good. Let's go ahead and unpack the other one and set these up. Okay, one thing I want to show you before I set these up is you will get a remote. And the cool thing about this is if you look, the remote has almost the exact same screen as the unit itself. So even though the viewing angles aren't great on that, you're going to have the remote, which is awesome. The other thing I really like about this remote is the fact that if you have the panel set to something, when you click the remote on, it's gonna find the same setting. Whereas other lights that I've tried in this budget, in this range of price, you have to it drops the light down. Instead of dropping the light down, it drops the remote down. So that is definitely a plus, a con. Plus you're gonna get a wrist strap with the remote. So very, very cool. So let's go ahead and set these up and take a look. Okay, so here we are with the light, and let's go ahead and we are at 100%, and let's go to 5600 Kelvin here. So here we are at 5600 Kelvin, 100%. And as you can see, one of these panels is super, super bright. I can't even look into it. So very, very bright. Let's go down to a low percentage. And as you can see, as I turn this, this isn't stepless. It will jump down. Again, this is a sub $400 kit. So you're not going to get stepless, but you can go all the way down to 1%. Now, if you take a look at the array, I don't know if you can see this, but it is in sort of a sideways pattern, which is very nice. It skips one after the other, so it is a nice pattern. Let's go up to 100 and check out the edge shadowing. And again, this is going to take you a very long time to get up to 100. I'm turning it really fast. So you can see how long it takes you actually to get to something. Edge shadowing when I'm close is not bad. The closer I go, the more shadowing there is. Let's see if I can show you the edge shadowing a little bit better. So let's talk a little bit about the edge shadowing. You're probably not going to be able to see this, but I will try to show this to you. You are getting up close, you are getting a lot of edge shadow, but probably about that much away. Let's put this down. So probably about that much away. Let me see if I can. So probably about maybe like 3 inches. Once you get 3 inches away, there's no, the edge shadowing kind of is washed out by the milk diffusion in here, which is fantastic. So let's talk about some of the features on this thing. First off, here's your battery level. These batteries were at 100%, and now this is only reading it at like two lines. It is matching up here and here. There is some discrepancy. Like I said, you'll see this thing burns through these batteries super quickly. These were fully charged at 100%, and I haven't had this thing on for more than maybe 10 minutes, and they're almost gone. So keep in mind, this thing does burn through batteries. I have gotten 50 minutes out of 2 of these batteries, but it seems like it's just burning through these a little quicker, maybe because these are older batteries. Let's talk about features here. First off, you have your CCT button, and then next to that, you have your HSI. You can control your hue, your saturation, and your intensity. Now, turning the bottom knob will set your HSI here. So as you can see, moving through everything. Moving through the HSI, through your RGB is very time consuming. It is taking a very long time, and let's go ahead and move over to intensity here, and let's bump up our intensity to 100%. So you can actually see this. All right, and let's go back to, as you can see, changing this from color to color is taking a very long time. Let's go to 240, which is my blue. Not quite there yet. There we go. That takes a very long time. I really wish there was some kind of feature where if you flip the knob, it would go faster, or this process were just a little bit faster, or there were some kind of quick buttons. Even on the remote, I wish there were quick buttons. This is just way too slow to get to the color that I want, if I want like a major primary color. But let's go now and let's push the top button here, and let's go into what I find, and we'll turn off the remote. Let's go into what I find a very interesting mode here, and that is the RGBCW. This light gives you the ability to control your reds, your blues, your greens, your colors, and your whites. And that is much better than using the what do you call it? The RGB, the HSI mode, because you can really have some fun here grabbing the bottom knob. Let's go ahead and add some blue. And we get kind of a Gerald Undone purple here, which is very, very cool. I don't know if you can see this on camera. It might look blue on my camera because I do have my camera set to different color temperatures. There we go. We get that kind of purpley color there. And then we can have some fun. And let's go to whites and bring up the whites. So let's bring down the whites. Let's go to green and let's throw in some green. There we go. We're getting all sorts of crazy colors. And there we go. So really, really cool. You can create a lot of very cool colors with this. I wish there was a memory button so you could remember, so it would remember like a preset button, but there is no preset button, so you'll just have to remember your integers. But all in all, a very cool feature. I would probably use this more than I would say the actual RGB mode, because you can very easily kind of like get to your red here. So you can get to your red, and then you can go to your colors and you can start adding some color. You can kind of control your saturation there, control your white, add some white there for some fun colors. Got your red there, so let's go red. And you turn up your red. Getting a really cool kind of red there. And I've added a little bit of white, so you're getting, so this is looking a little like pinkish, but let's turn off the whites. So all in all, a very cool mode. It gives you a lot of features. One thing I do notice is that this stand does tend to slip a little bit when you push down on it, so don't push down on it, or the feet will come up a little bit more. That's just something I'm noticing. But all in all, a very cool mode. Next is a button. Now you could either access these features, either pressing the buttons or pressing the bottom button. Let's go ahead and press the next one. And of course, you get your effects. You get fire. You can control the frequency and the brightness of it all. You get your fire, pushing it in. You get your fireworks. You get faulty bulb, which is actually pretty good. You get TV. And you get your RGB circle, paparazzi. You get lightning, which actually is pretty good on this panel. And you get your police, your fire, and your ambulance. So all in all, very, very cool. And then you get another button to control your channels. And I do believe you have A through F, and you have 12 channels. So you can put this thing on a lot of different channels. So there you go. That is the controls to this thing. Now this thing is reading full battery, and now I'm getting 3 bars. So the battery indicators on this thing are not very good. Just gonna say that there's a lot of discrepancy between the two. Sometimes this reads that it's almost out, and then sometimes it reads that it's full. And then this also, depending on what mode you're on, will give you a different reading. So I don't know why there's 2 battery indicators. That's a little bit of a downside. So if you are going to use this, just plug it into the wall. Just use AC power, unless you absolutely have to use batteries. So that's it. That is the panel. Let's go back to the main table for my final thoughts. Okay, so my final thoughts on the Sokani X-50 RGB is this is a very interesting one, kids. Let's talk about the cons first and get them out of the way. There are a lot of cons with this thing. Let's first off talk about the buttons. I don't like the fact they're on the side. This is just a personal preference. I have big meaty fingers. It's very hard for me to get to the buttons, and they are slow. It takes forever, even especially in the HSI RGB mode, to get to the color that you want. It is just too, if you are running and gunning, if you're in a hurry, you're not going to want to grab this panel for any kind of RGB. You're going to want to grab for it if you actually have time, or you're going to set it and leave it. Also, the color temperature, yes, you do get 10,000 to 2,800 Kelvin. Again, it's a little bit slow. I wish they had some quick buttons on the back, or you can press it in, press one of the buttons in to go from 28 to 32 to 56 to 10,000. That would be great in a future update if we get quick buttons or a quick feature. That would be fantastic. And on the remote as well, because using the remote is even slower. So there we go. There is a little bit of a speed issue with getting to your color temperature. I will suggest using the RGBCW mode if you're going to do colors. Much quicker. Let's talk about the screen. The viewing angles are okay. I mean, they're not great. At certain angles, you do lose the screen. Luckily, you do have the remote, so that's not really going to be so much of an issue. Some other things, let's talk about the HSI mode and how the RGB mode and how slow it is. Like I said, it's going to be forever. You're going to be turning that dial forever. So I really wish this thing were faster. The battery indicators, one you get two. I would really love just to have one battery indicator and for that to be actually accurate, because sometimes this reads that there's no battery or there's full battery, and then you go ahead and press that and you're missing. I think this battery indicator is a little bit more accurate than this one, so definitely go off what's up here, not what's down here, because this has a tendency to be, I think, a little off. Other than that, some other things is the stand. You can easily push the stand down even though it's torqued. So you might want to consider replacing your stands, especially the base tends to flatten out if you put any kind of pressure on it. So that is that. Stands are pretty good, are pretty solid, but they're not, you can push them down with one hand. So, but they do hold the panel, so you're fine, but I would definitely probably recommend swapping out these stands. Also, I wish this came with a bag for the stands. Right now, you just get the stands themselves and no place to put them. Some other cons with this thing, I think that's pretty much it. I may have missed some things, but now let's talk about what I really like about this panel and why I think this is a buy for certain people, and that is the construction. The construction is pretty darn good. It's all aluminum. The passive cooling, I had this thing running for 50 minutes, and it was cool to the touch. Really fantastic there. I do like these special effects modes are great. They do work very, very well for special effects modes. There are 12 channels. I believe it goes A through F, so the programmability of these, of multiples of these are great. The color temperature, the color seems pretty spot on and might skew, 5600 Kelvin might skew a little bit toward magenta. I know when I turned this on, it was set to 600 Kelvin, so that might be their sweet spot. But you do get plus minus green to -10 or plus 10, so any lighting color, any discrepancy, you can kind of correct for that. So that's super cool. And the final thing I really love about this, besides the construction, is that RGBCW mode is pretty cool. You can really invent some cool colors, or if you want red, blue, green, you could just jump right to it. I say completely bypass the HSI mode and just go to that mode and find your color. It's going to be a lot faster than sitting here twisting this dial forever to get to the color temperature that you want when you're trying to find your RGB color. Very cool that you get that kind of control. And again, this thing is super, super bright, and you get two of these, and they're mega bright. So if you want to just kind of tilt these and point these up at the ceiling and bounce your light and light an entire room, these are going to be just perfect for that. Now, let's talk about who this is for. If you are a YouTuber, if you are in a studio, a home studio, if you are doing Zoom calls, if you're doing your own personal projects where you have time, this is a pretty good sub $400 kit that you can definitely make do with, especially if you're a beginning filmmaker or you're a budget filmmaker, you don't have a lot of money. This is a pretty good kit. It does, the quality of light that this thing pumps out, I find, is pretty good. Now, who is this not for? If you are a running gun shooter, if you're a professional, if you're doing things that are time sensitive, or you're working with clients, you're not going to want to bust this thing out, because you don't want to be sitting here trying to find your color temperature for 20 minutes while the client is waiting. It just takes too long. We just need some kind of faster option here. But all in all, a pretty solid entry. I do believe this is the first model of this. I might be mistaken. Let me know down below if I'm wrong, but I think this is the first model of this. And all in all, it is pretty solid, especially for YouTubers, home studio use. This is pretty good. It is a very useful tool for and keep in mind, you get 2 of these, a stand and a case for under $400, for about $300 and some odd dollars, under $400. So I can recommend this for certain case uses, but I do really like this panel. I am definitely going to be finding uses for it in my workflow. So those are my thoughts, but I want to know yours. So if you have any questions or comments, you can drop them in the notes below. Also, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and don't forget to mash that bell button to be notified when we drop a brand new video. And feel free to use the links below, as it helps out the channel. I'm Stephen Michael Zach, and this is new to me.